What is up, Karma Nation? Welcome to the first edition of the Battle of the Bales podcast for Bet Karma. I know you guys are used to reading our article, but we have moved it into podcast format, and it is still basically the same thing, just for NFL spreads bets. So what's going to be happening in this podcast is I will give my favorite spread of the week. Jason will give his favorite spread of the week. Every week we will go over what happened the previous week. We'll keep records, see how each one of us is doing. Everything Bet Karma at the moment is happening on dfskarma.com, but don't worry because the website for Bet Karma will launch in a couple of weeks. We will have that up. As for now, we're releasing a lot of information on YouTube through these podcasts. We also do a college football podcast. The other guys, they do podcasts. We have the 2-minute warning that we do during halftime of the Thursday night game. So a lot of information where you're getting a lot of bets, a lot of plays. So I would go ahead and click that subscribe button as quickly as possible to make sure you don't miss any of it. If you're new to Bet or DFS Karma, I'm Justin Bales. I will be your host of the Battle of the Bales. Next to me is my brother, Jason Bales. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic.
We're just basically going to go over a little bit of what happened. Right now, we're going to talk about Green Bay because that was a pretty crazy game last night where not many people expected that, but I find it weird that people didn't think that Green Bay's defense was going to get any better. I mean, they have very young corners. They have a lot of young players that are just up and coming. They unloaded a lot of money into pass rushers. They added Savage in the draft to shore up the back end of the secondary. So I'm a little shocked, and I guess maybe because I'm a Green Bay fan, I was kind of hopeful that the defense would be better, but it seemed weird that people thought that Chicago's offense was easily going to be scoring on them. Do you agree or disagree with that, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. And actually, one of the main things that I took away from the game was that everyone has already jumped ship on Mitchell Trubisky as if one bad game, week one, against a pretty stout Packers defense. I mean, this defense is much better than it was last year. Packers defense could be one of the better ones in the league, top 15. Trubisky struggled sort of, but I mean, I don't think he did anything crazy. He didn't show any major flaws that have me off of Trubisky this year. No, Mitchell Trubisky is not going to win MVP. Yes, I know people were voting on that. But also, Aaron Rodgers didn't look great either. It's just preseason rust at this point, and I think he'll figure it out in week 2.
One of the things that I saw with Trubisky is I blame Nagy for that performance. Trubisky last year had an elite passer rating when he got the ball out extremely fast. I think it maybe under 2.5 seconds was the exact number. And last night they did absolutely none of that. On top of it, Montgomery barely played. So they basically were giving Mike Davis carries. Tarek Cohen played in, I believe, the backfield 2% of snaps. So you're not even having him in the backfield. You just split him out in the slot and wide. I don't know, dude. I feel like that was a very bad game for Nagy. And obviously Trubisky missed a lot of throws. Don't get me wrong. Trubisky had a very bad game. I don't think it's time to jump ship on him just yet. What's that?
One other major thing you take away from that game is Allen Robinson's the real deal. It looks like he's healthy. And Cohen in PPR is going to be unreal this season. They're targeting him so many times, it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I wasn't that high on Robinson. It is what it is. He did look very good, though. His get off the line was absolutely insane. Also, I know you started him in fantasy, but Geronimo Allison without a single target. What in the world is that about? He played the third amount of snaps? I think he played like 30 snaps for Green Bay, with Davis playing 17, and then obviously Devontae Adams and Valdez-Scantling played in the 40s, maybe both in the 40s. I don't know the exact numbers, but they played the most by far.
I think it's safe to say that Valdez-Scantling is the wide receiver too for the Packers this week.
Yeah, dude, I could see a breakout. That guy he's fast. He finally knows what he's doing. He has very solid hands. So Aaron Rodgers seems to love him. And if you watched the game last night, Devontae Adams was getting triple teamed. So someone else has to be open at that point. And Valdez-Scantling seems like a very good option for that. One of the funniest things was when the Bears failed to convert on 3rd and 40, You heard that right. 3rd and 40. They got booed off the field. It seems just like a weird thing because they were down 4 at that point. Being from Philly, we kind of know about that with Eagles fans, and I never pegged Chicago as like that type of fan base. It was kind of funny, but we have a brother that lives in Chicago, and he basically told us that prior to the game, everyone that he talked to said that without question, they believed the Bears were going to steamroll the Packers and that Green Bay didn't even stand a chance. It's delusional. If you're a Chicago fan and you thought that, that was delusional. There's a reason they have the same odds to win the division. There's a reason that the game was only a 3-point difference. They're just very similar teams. They're both very good. But anyway, that's enough about last game. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I got 2 more things I want to say. One is that a lot of people were questioning the Bears' defense with Vic gone, and I think they've proven that they're still a pretty stellar defense. And the second thing is, not only did I start Geronimo Allison, who had 0 targets, in one league I actually did also start Anthony Miller, 0 targets. So I don't know what that's
week
about.
For you.
I don't know what that's about, but week 1's weird, I guess.
The only player I had go last night was Valdez Scantling in the Scott Fish Bowl, which obviously, realistically, that wasn't a very good game for him. But I mean, it is what it is. We have a lot of football on Sunday. I think we have 2 Monday night games, right?
Yeah, there's 3 maybe.
I think the Patriots play Sunday night, and then Houston.
So it's a 3-game slate on DraftKings, but it's Sunday night, Monday night.
Yeah, with this Antonio Brown drama. That is fun. Dude, everyone hates on him, but bring all the drama because it has been a fun storyline. And if you don't like it, then, I mean, more power to you for staying out of it. But Antonio Brown yelling at a 60-year-old man and then apologizing with Vontaze Burfict being the voice of reason. I mean, it is quite the fiasco in Oakland. But anyway, we can move on to our picks for this week. Jason, I'll let you start. Keep in mind, these are just going to be 1 pick each. It'll be a spread pick. It can be either the underdog or the favorite, just whichever one we like and we want to outline. I know Jason has one for you guys, so go ahead.
Yeah, and this is actually one that I believe every expert over at Bet Karma picked this line. My recommendation this week is the Detroit Lions at -2.5 against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. So I think this line's slightly skewed because of Cliff Kingsbury coming to Arizona. And I know there's some concerns about this mysterious offense that he's going to bring into the game. So I definitely want to touch on that. What are the things that we know about Kingsbury? First of all, he's going to pass early and often, and he likes to utilize short, quick-release routes. So at Texas Tech from 2014 to 2018, his offense recorded 7.1 yards after the catch per reception, which was the 5th highest in the FBS. So obviously he's going to do that Bill Belichick style rushing attack, utilizing passing to really take over for the running game. So he's also going to run an up-tempo offense as much as possible. In those same years with Texas Tech, he averaged 80.8 offensive plays per game. I know in college they run more offensive plays than they do in the pros, but that is significantly higher than the 2018 Cardinals team, which averaged 56.4, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the worst in the NFL last year. If not, it was bottom 5. He also passed on 63.8% of his plays at Texas Tech. And when he did run, he generally utilizes some kind of run-pass option, jet sweep, or screens of some sort. It's actually pretty rare to see a Kingsbury running back find his way between the tackles. And I actually think that might bode well for David Johnson's fantasy numbers as well as his career longevity over the next couple of years. But, I mean, that's not what we're talking about today, so we'll save that for a different time. So he's also going to throw frequently to the slot receiver, and he's going to constantly be looking for big play opportunities. Those are the things that we know about Kingsbury. What do we know about the Lions that are going to help them stop the Cardinals? So the most obvious way to limit Kingsbury's offense is going to be to keep him off the field. Matt Patricia is going to have to figure out a way to keep him off the field. So last season, Kerryon Johnson averaged over 5 yards per carry. and he's going to be the bell cow this season for Detroit. The Cardinals have the worst defense in the league, and I don't even think it's really a question, especially with Patrick Peterson out due to suspension and Robert Alford out with a leg injury. Chandler Jones is coming off a pretty bad 2018 season, and Suggs is basically all but washed at this point in his career. I don't like their defense at all. I don't see how it's going to be possible for the Cardinals to slow down the Detroit rushing attack. So if Patricia knows what's good for him, he's going to give Kerryon Johnson the ball 30-plus times this game. If Kyler Murray's not on the field, he can't be explosive, right? So obviously Murray is going to see the field. So when Murray is on the field, their best way to stop their offense is right up the middle, because Murray sort of lacks downfield vision due to his height. And the Lions do definitely have holes in their defense, but those holes generally come at the linebacker positions. Trey Flowers, Mike Daniels, Damon Harrison, and Deshaun Hand are going to get plenty of pressure up the middle. I'm pretty sure that Murray's going to have to release the ball early, and obviously he's going to want to do that. But if they're getting enough pressure up the middle, and if they're containing the edges and not letting him escape, it's going to lessen the chances that they get, that big fade route or a deep post or something like that and score quickly, which is good for the Lions because they want clock control. So I think that the best way for the Cardinals to win this game is actually to attack the linebackers of the Lions, which is not something that Kingsbury generally wants to do. You do that up the middle, and you do that inside the tackles with the rushing game. So if the Cardinals fail to score early, I think the Lions could waste most of the first quarter with a pretty big lead going into halftime, and then just utilize that same strategy. Obviously, Kingsbury is going to change his offense, but all they have to do is limit a couple big play touchdowns, and I think they win this game. Until the Cardinals prove that they can stop the run, when teams have a good rushing attack and the line isn't ridiculous, I'll be attacking the Cardinals defenses.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but last year I believe the Cardinals allowed the most rushing yards per game, around 150 per game or something. Obviously, that has to do a lot with the fact that they were always losing, so you got to run up the numbers at the end of the games. But realistically, they gave up a large yards per carry too, if I remember correctly. So I really like that. The only thing that I'm not sure about is the first half. Like, I really like them at -2.5 on the full game, but the first half, it seems, I don't know, because they won't know the offense until they see it realistically. So they might get hit by like a deep touchdown or something just on missed coverage because they didn't know what's happening.
I actually think it might be if you like playing Detroit, but you don't really like the line at -2.5 in Arizona. Wait, and if the Cardinals get the ball first and they throw a deep touchdown, boom, you're going to get a line at like negative, or not negative, like +4 Cardinal or Detroit or something like that. The Cardinals will become the favorites if they score quickly, and you can take advantage of that live in-game betting.
Yeah, that was one thing that I posted in our Discord yesterday for the Green Bay game. Is Green Bay notoriously starts slow and Chicago notoriously starts hot. At least they did in 2018. So with basically the same teams, you pretty much could figure that Chicago is likely to score first, and they scored 3, and you could get, I think someone got Green Bay +7. So once that happens, like, you can take it, especially if you think that team wins. But always use live betting to help. I agree with Jason. I do like Detroit -2.5. That's actually one of my favorite bets on this slate, but obviously he took it, so I wasn't going to outline the same bet as him. Instead, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens at -7. Some places you can still get at -6.5 if you can. I really like that. 7 brings me down a little bit because obviously just a touchdown would push. I would much rather have 6.5, but -7 at -110 is pretty nice. And it's just essentially a matchup made in heaven for Baltimore. They have the rushing attack. Obviously, we know Lamar Jackson, you always need to account for him. But they brought in Mark Ingram, who graded out as Pro Football Focus's 16th best running back last year. Add in Gus Edwards, who graded out 13th. I do believe that Ingram takes the majority of the work, but bringing in Gus Edwards just occasionally, I have absolutely no problems with that. Then also you need to account for Lamar Jackson, which is just going to make them slightly more efficient because you're going to have to at least put one player to take out of the play on Ingram or Edwards and guard Jackson in case he pulls it. At Injustice Hill, he's an explosive rookie. If you don't know who he is, I would be willing to bet by the end of the season you will. I don't know how much he plays early on. I don't truly believe that his pass pro is good enough to take third downs from Mark Ingram. So I feel like he's probably just a few snaps change of pace back, but he has the potential to take it for a home run anywhere that he goes. The big thing in this game, though, is the Baltimore offensive line. Stanley and Brown graded out as 17th and 47 overall for tackles. When you consider that there's 64 starters, that's both very good. They even have Hurst graded out as the 68th last year as a backup in case something were to happen. It's just a really good pair of tackles there. Yana graded out as the 4th best guard. Their center graded out as 23rd, which is slightly below average for starter, but really still a fine player. So if you assume that they have a solid line and then you put them up against a weak Miami defense. Last year, Miami allowed 145 rushing yards per game. It ranked second last behind only the Cardinals. They gave up almost 5 yards per carry. In the 7 games that Lamar Jackson started, the Ravens ran for 230 yards per game. It's crazy. This is just literally an ideal matchup. And then if you just add in that them running the ball with their line will allow them to control the line of scrimmage. Once they do that, they can control the clock. If they're controlling the clock, it basically takes Miami's wannabe offense, maybe you want to call them. They're not going to be good. And then the few opportunities that Ryan Fitzpatrick has, he has the gunslinger mentality. If he throws a pick or two in limited opportunities, Baltimore all of a sudden should be well ahead in this game. So I know a lot of people might not like this play. The Ravens are on one end or the other of the spectrum. Either you hate them or you like them quite a bit. And it almost all comes down to whether or not you like Lamar Jackson. It makes sense because he's not your typical quarterback. You have to build the offense around him. But the Ravens did a very, very good job of doing that. I do personally expect him to take a slight step forward in the passing department this season. I mean, he wasn't great last year, but he also wasn't really scared. He knew what he was doing out on the field, and he only started in 7 games. So I do like Baltimore by at least a touchdown here. Do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Well, I think part of the reason that a lot of people don't like this play at -6 is that for years we've considered the Baltimore Ravens to be this defensive team without a high-powered offense, and I think Jackson entirely changes that. They're going to score, and I think they're going to score frequently. Another thing I hear quite frequently is that Jackson somehow people didn't know what to expect from Jackson in the weeks that he played during the season, and now they have tape on him, and now they're gonna be able to contain his rushing attack. And come on, you didn't know what to expect from Lamar Jackson. Like, everyone knew what was going to happen. They didn't really change their offense that much. They just let the kid go out and play football. And I think that critique applies to, somebody like Watson or someone like Mahomes, who comes out and has a great rookie year, but now there's tape on him, and there's also tape on, this new coach's offense, or this new offense that an old coach implemented for this new quarterback. And now that new offense isn't new anymore, and the defense has sort of evolved. But this isn't what is happening in Baltimore. If anything, they're going to come out with a new offense going into this season, knowing that Jackson is now their starter. So I think I don't think either of those critiques apply. I don't think Miami's good. Case has proven nothing. I'm not interested in Miami, and I know it's a big line, but I'll even take the push on 7. I think they win by 10.
Yeah, I agree with that. You mean Flores? Gase is now in New York with the Jets. Brian Flores is Miami's head coach, and we've seen before that the guys that come out of Belichick's system aren't good elsewhere. I'm not saying that Flores isn't good. I'm not saying that other guys can't be good, but it feels too early to crown someone good just because they come out of somewhere else. It's kind of the same thing with like Matt LaFleur. A lot of people want to talk about how he's this offensive guru, but really it was Sean McVay. And I'm not saying Matt LaFleur won't be an offensive guru. He very well could be, but it's just way too early to crown guys that haven't done enough, especially as head coaches in the NFL, to make them seem like these top guys.
Except for Patricia. We're touting Patricia.
Yeah, the one guy that's been bad we're touting. I mean, I just like the matchup. I don't think that Detroit's going to be an overly dominant team. I do actually kind of like their team. I think it's better than people think, but I'm not going to win that division or anything.
I think Detroit has a serious chance to make playoffs, though. That division is tough, but Detroit could win 10 games this year for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be overly shocked, honestly. So those are the two games. We got the Baltimore Ravens -7 as my pick. We have the Detroit Lions -2.5 as Jason's pick. Both sit at -110 right now, I believe. So go ahead and play those if you guys trust us. If not, I mean, we got a lot of content. We have a lot of spreads coming in that guys from Bet Karma are betting. If you haven't gone, go to dfskarma.com and you can check our expert picks. I believe there are there any that are a full consensus? New England?
Yeah, New England, and there's like 2 or 3 that are full consensus. Yeah, I don't know which one. I don't remember which ones they are. Oh, so, Detroit. Detroit's one of them.
Detroit. So you can go check those out. While you're at it, once again, please subscribe to the YouTube video so you can get updates of when we go live. We will have a college football podcast that I'll be on in a bit later today. You get our favorite plays for that as well. So we just have a lot of content coming out on this YouTube channel, at least until, well, it'll always come out, but at least until the site launches. This is a place where you can get a lot of our plays. So subscribing is definitely something you want to do. You can follow Jason and I on Twitter. I believe our Twitter handles are sitting right below us. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment on any spreads that you're playing this week. You know, we wish anyone good luck, regardless of whether they play with or against us. It's just basically good luck to everybody. And let us know whether you like the podcast, if you want us to add anything, take away anything. We just always appreciate feedback. So until then, we'll see you next week.